All right, it is the evening weather briefing for Tuesday, the 23rd of September, and this is the evening edition. I am Josh Brown. I hope that you all had a great Tuesday. And yeah, we saw some better rain coverage across most of our coverage area since this afternoon, and we still have some rain out there to close out our Tuesday, which we'll look at the radar here in just one moment. But if we have not got any rain today, well then don't worry because we have more on the way as we head into Wednesday, which will come out with the latest HER and the NAM models in just a moment. Well, I would say a little more than that. And of course, the update on the busy tropics too. So let's go ahead and get to the radar and see who's still seeing some of those lingering showers and thunderstorms this evening. Is mostly focusing pretty much from Metro Orlando and south to go towards Polk County. And speaking of Polk, there's already a flood advisory posted. Oop. And that goes from Highway 33, which is right about here, just near Green Pond, down around Polk City, Lakeland, and perhaps as far as you go towards the Brewster communities. And it looks like this flood advisory does go in effect actually for the next 15 minutes, which is until 8:15. And the impacts, of course, with this advisory is minor flooding and low-lying and poor drainage areas. And there have been some reports of potings of water on roadways too over in western Polk County because of the heavier rains that has been around here for a while. And it looks like so far about 1 to 3 inches of rain has been picked up in that advisory area, with another 1 or 2 expected or possible over that same spot before the rain is said and done. So if you're driving around western Polk County this evening, including the Lakeland area, again, just be sure to watch out for ponings of water on roadways. And remember, if you see any flooding on area roadways too, no matter how deep it is, the best thing to do is to turn around and don't drown. Okay? So let me go ahead and play the loop with the radar and see where the showers or storms are heading to next. And it looks like it's not moving that much. Shows a little bit of a slightly easterly direction for Polk County, but mostly it's sitting in the same spot. But it seems that these lingering showers and storms should continue to be with us here for a little bit longer, but they should be winding down by midnight. So just do keep that in mind if we have plans this evening from Orange County and down into Polk, that the rain will be around for a little bit longer. And speaking of Orange County, there's also some heavier showers and a couple of lingering storms impacting basically around downtown up towards Pine Hills, around Orla Vista, Carver Shores, Dr. Phillips, and the Windermere areas. And of course, there's also not just, you know, lingering heavier downpours with these storms. Here we are at this 8 o'clock hour, but also there's a lot of thunder and lightning too. And again, if you see lightning out in the distance, especially if you're outdoors, the best thing to do is to get inside until the storms do pass or fade out, because you do not want to be that person to get struck by lightning, because we've been hearing these stories every summer, especially during the part of the lightning season, where people do end up getting struck themselves. So I'd rather just do the right thing instead of getting into a situation like that if you can. Okay. And we also have some more rain over here down into just south of the metro area, or I should say outside of our coverage area, and that goes down here towards Port St. Lucie to the Fort Lauderdale communities. And mostly the rain is like light to moderate, where you see these greens and yellows. A little bit of a heavier shower down here, just around the Port Charlotte community. Again, nothing severe is producing yet. Just some not just heavy rain, but also some thunder and lightning. And there have been some reports of waterspouts off the shore of Cape Canaveral from a storm that came through earlier this afternoon, which I did post a picture on Facebook. So I recommend checking that out if you haven't. And it appears from a storm that came through the Apopka area earlier this evening. This was reported just after 6 p.m. that a storm spotter measured a wind gust of 60 to 70 miles an hour, with perhaps reports of penny-sized hail near Route 441, Route 436, and Main Street. But luckily, there's no reports of any damage from that storm, which is some good news. So let's go ahead and check out some of the latest rainfall totals that parts of our area may have gotten from the storms since this afternoon. And I think the best totals was down here in southern Brevard County, around Palm Bay to Grand Falcaria and Bayside Lakes, where it shows indications of amounts anywhere, let's say, from about 1 to 3 inches, perhaps a little bit higher down here, around 4 to 5 in the dark red colors, just near the L74N highway, which is a little bit west and southwest of the small community of Deer Run. And then you got about 3 to 4 to 5 inches of rain been picked up as well for the eastern and southeastern tip of Osceola County, between, let's say, from Bull Creek Swamp and right down here towards Yeehaw Junction. But over here in Lake County, or I'm sorry, Polk County, excuse me, where the flood advisory again is in effect, it shows indications that you saw from the latest text from the National Weather Service in Tampa of rainfall estimates between 1 to 3 inches, again from Green Pond down as far south you go towards Lakeland, Mulberry, and near Brewster. So this is a very long polygon, as you can see on the latest map. And then you got about indications of around about 1 to 2 inches over here in this little small area of Pine Hills of western Orange County, or I should say west of the metro, around, we'll say, near highways 438 down towards 50. And then you get about the same thing over here in parts of Lake County from the storm that came through earlier. And this is between Crestview down around 27, we'll say just a little east of Lake Louisa. And then you got the same thing over here near the county line between Orange and Lake counties, just southwest of Horizon West. But other spots in the greens and blues indicate there have been indications of rainfall estimates between about a half to 3/4 from Winter Garden down towards, we'll say, near Windermere, Lake Butler, Ocoee, up around Clarkona, south of Popka. I mean, you name it. With 1 to 2 inches picked up over here near Zellwood of northwest Orange County, right along down a little southwest you go towards 414, and then yet the same thing in Mount Dora in Lake County. And of course, you got more spotty 1 or 2 inches of rainfall estimates up here in parts of Volusia County from Deltona up around, we'll say, close to the Flagler County line near Highway 40 and 11. So that's pretty much it as far as totals go today. But like I said before, if you have not gotten any rain today, more is on the way as we head into tomorrow and perhaps also heading into the second half of the work week as the moisture continues to slowly build up from the Gulf. That will fire up yet more chances for showers and thunderstorms. So we'll get back to the radar here pretty shortly, but let's go ahead and check out the tropics because it looks, again, a little busy out there. Here we are at this 8 o'clock hour on this Tuesday night. Turn on the tropical icons. And of course, the only named storm we have still and out in the Atlantic is Hurricane Gabriel, and it's now started to weaken to a Cat 3, but still a major storm, though, as winds started to downgrade, this time at about 125 miles an hour, and is still quickly moving due east-northeast at about 21 miles an hour, so this is a pretty quick storm. And in the millibar pressure low is about 953, so still a little tight there, according to the latest map that you're seeing. But the good news is it will continue to weaken within the next few days as it starts to enter in the cooler waters of the North Atlantic. So usually that helps, start to wind down any systems or to prevent from anything developing, in case if you didn't know. So it looks like it'll be downgraded to a Cat 2 within, we'll say, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, and then we'll stay that way by, we'll say, 2 in the morning on Thursday, and then down to a Cat 1 during the day Thursday as it moves into the coast of Horda and Ponta Delgada, and then it will start to weaken to a tropical storm. We'll say between the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday time frame before moving in towards the coast of Lisbon, which I believe that's in part of Asia, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or Europe. I think it's Europe. And of course, it's not just that, but we're also watching a couple of tropical waves out there across the Atlantic, and it's kind of close together, as you can see here with the latest tracks. So we're going to start with this first one over here. We've been watching over the last few days, and this is known as Invest 93L. And yes, the shower and thunderstorm activity does continue, associated with that tropical wave located about 750 miles east of the Leeward Islands, and has become better organized since yesterday. And conditions are still forecast to be more favorable for further development, in a tropical depression can likely form. Yet in the next couple of days, while the system moves west-northwestward to northwest into the western tropical Atlantic, well north of the Leeward Islands. So it appears that the Hurricane Center has given about a 90% chance for formation within the next 7 days or so. But we're also watching this other one next to it that is basically bringing some shower and thunderstorm activity right along the northern Caribbean islands, and that includes basically near the Virgin Islands itself. And this is in Vest 94, and it continues to again produce a large area, as I said just now, disorganized showers and thunderstorms near the extreme northeast Caribbean Sea. And of course, it's not just the storms, but gusty winds are also occurring with this system, happening much of the Windward and the Leeward Islands. And this wave is expected to move a little bit quicker to the west northwest at about 15 to 20 miles an hour, so spreading heavy rainfall and gusty winds into Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands beginning tonight and continuing on into the day on Wednesday, and then across the Dominican Republic beginning late tomorrow night. So the system is expected to slow things down a little bit and turn to the northwest when it reaches the southwest Atlantic in a couple of days. And conditions are forecast to become more conductive for development yet late this week. And it looks like a tropical depression is likely to form when the disturbance is in the vicinity of the Bahamas. So interest in the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and the Turks and Caicos Islands in the Bahamas should monitor the progress of the system. And in case if you're asking if this is going to be affecting for us here in Florida, well, the good news is it won't, but there could be some potential for some rough surf and rip currents with this system along the eastern Florida beaches in the next coming days or so. So just a heads up if you're heading to the beach pretty soon. And it looks like the models are showing that this system will stay offshore from the Carolinas, but also closely monitor that closely. But if it does stay offshore, it's the same thing for the east coast of Florida. Rip currents and roughing surf could be possible uh, along those beach areas. But the reason why these two systems will not be affecting the east coast of the United States or for here in Florida is because of an approaching front moving in from the west to east later this week, and that should help, keep the tropics steering not westward, but moving into the north and northeastward. So that's what we want to see. But other than that, the west coast of Africa looks quiet right now, so no formations there in the next several days. And the same goes for the Gulf and the Caribbean Seas section. So that's that. So let me go ahead and switch back to the radar. Turn off the tropical icons. We'll zoom back in closer to Central Florida one more time. And again, here's the radar. And yet, so we still have some lingering showers and storms out there, again, from Orange County down into Polk County. And again, it will stay that way here for a little bit longer, but they should be fading out by midnight. And again, we still have that flood advisory posted for most of western Polk County till the next couple of minutes. Again, there have been some indications of 1 to 3 inches, again, within the last hour or so, but totals could add up a little more before the rain is said and done. But other than that, the eastern side of the state looks to be mostly dry this evening with no rain expected again for the rest of tonight. And the same goes for areas up north around Marion County to Northern Lake and Sumter counties too. So there you have it there. So here's a look at the temperatures right now this evening. And as you can see, it is still looking pretty warm out there. We have numbers sitting currently around the upper 70s and into the lower 80s, with temperatures a little warm up north, where you have mid to upper 80s for the panhandle side of the state, up into both states of Mississippi and Alabama. Checking out the feels like temperatures, and as you can see, we have also more of the same like it is with the air temperatures up north, where it shows anywhere from the upper 80s and low 90s for I-10 and north. But thankfully, though, the air temperatures are not quite as bad for Central Florida, or the feels like temperatures rather. But it shows the same thing mostly like the air temperatures, where it indicates 70s and lower 80s from central down into southern Florida. So before we get to the her model run, if you're just popping on into this live broadcast, again, I don't mind if you could share this with your live or with your uh, followers, your Facebook followers. And you know my motto, and that is sharing is caring. And before we also get to the rest of this broadcast, I'm going to go ahead and share uh, a few, to a few group pages, my broadcast. And after I do that, we'll move on. All right. Sorry about that again, everyone. All right, so here's a look at the HER model this evening, and it looks like we'll see these storms continue it, like I've said before, a little bit longer, but they should be fading out again by around the midnight hour. And then looks like by after midnight, things should be looking calm across most of the state. And the same thing as we head towards daybreak on Wednesday. We switch over to the previous models. We could get a better view of what's going to happen after daybreak. And it shows yet nothing much going on here for the state. Same thing for lunchtime. So it looks like those showers and thunderstorms, another batch that is, will hold off until later in the day on Wednesday, like from late afternoon and evening, just like today. And if we can switch over to temperatures heading into the next 18 hours, and yet we'll see numbers stay mostly in the 70s as we head into the overnight on into the first half of the day on Wednesday. There could be some upper 60s for some of you, but not quite as cooler, though. Slightly, but not dramatically, is the word I'm referencing to. And that could extend up here well into Georgia and for portions of southeastern sections of Alabama on into South Carolina. A little bit of a warm start over here towards the west side of Alabama and Mississippi to begin Wednesday with perhaps some mid to upper 70s yet for morning lows. And then by noon, we'll see temperatures heating up in the low to mid 80s across the central and southern part of the state as temperatures could start to warm up close to average in the 80s and low 90s for the Interstate 10 corridor and north towards the southern half of Alabama, all the way up into South Carolina. And if we can switch over to the NAM model, which does take you through the next couple of days. And yet it shows just a few spotty areas of showers and thunderstorms. For now, looks to be mostly for our northern counties of our market, between 7 or 8, with perhaps a few spotty activity over here for Lake and Sumter by 10 or 11. So I think we're just going to call from about a 40, perhaps if not to a 50% coverage of seeing some of those late day showers and storms for your Wednesday. Again, it's not going to rain everywhere. It'll be hit or miss, just like we see in a typical summer day during rainy season, which is we're still in right now. And then here is Thursday morning, and it shows yet another dry start to the day with perhaps some better chances for rain, mostly staying north across Alabama and Mississippi. And yet by Thursday afternoon, it shows this time storms becoming a bit more scattered and widespread between, let's say, from Polk County up into Volusia County near the Interstate 4 corridor, with the coverage increasing as high as 60%. And then it seems the activity will start to move off towards the East Coast, but fading out here by 10 and 11 Thursday night. And it looks like there's a line of showers and thunderstorms moving that could be moving in from the northwest into southeast into portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. And that is ahead of the same front that will start to move in around that time. But it looks like the activity should still stay well up to the north as the overnight portion of Thursday and Friday approaches, if you know what I mean. And yet, the rainfall totals here for the next few days shows between about 1 to 3 inches around the metro area and surrounding locations, with perhaps around 2 to 4 inches a little southwest you go towards Polk, down into near, we'll say, the Sarasota areas. And the same goes also for places like, we'll say, down around Port St. Lucie, down into near the Jupiter areas, or a little west of there. And it looks like totals will be mostly minor up here just to the north in places like Gainesville to Jacksonville, in and around Crescent City. So let's talk temperatures heading into the next few days, shall we? And yet, as we fast forward into Wednesday afternoon, we'll see temperatures this time heating up just around average. Again, that's where they should normally be for this time of year. Here we are in September, and that is 80s to low 90s we're calling for, and that could be the same case too up here across portions of the valley from Alabama off towards the far east you go into near the coastline of Myrtle Beach and the Charleston areas in South Carolina. And then by 9 o'clock tomorrow night, we'll see temperatures start dropping. We'll say slightly tad cooler, but still mild. And it shows mostly in the 70s and 80s across the region, including here in our state. And then by the overnight, late Wednesday on into early Thursday, shows yet another warm start with potential lows beginning in the mid to upper 70s. And there could be some areas where temperatures may begin around, we'll say, at or close to 80 from the metro down south into the Keys region, with perhaps some mid 70s up here to start off with in Alabama and points west you go towards central and southern sections of Mississippi. And it looks like there could be a little bit of a slightly cooler trend over here towards Macon, Georgia, and off towards the east near the border of South Carolina, where it shows anywhere from the 60s and low 70s to begin with. Yet as Thursday morning progresses, and then we'll see temperatures, by Thursday afternoon heating up around average in the 80s and low 90s here in the state, up into Interstate 95 from Savannah up into Charleston. And here comes that front that will start to move in here towards the valley by Thursday afternoon, and it shows numbers dropping anywhere from the 70s and into the low, into if not mid 80s across that part of the region. As the line of storm starts to move in around that front too. And then it looks like we'll see temperatures by 2 in the morning on Friday, yet looking to stay pretty warm in the mid to upper 70s, yet ahead of that same cold front, but it looks like numbers will start to drop a little cooler in the 60s and low 70s, yet in the valley. But let's switch over to the GFS as we head into the next couple of weeks. And it looks like we'll begin off with lows in the mid to upper 70s across both central and southern Florida. Here we are on daybreak then, with perhaps a bit of a cooler start with some upper 60s and low 70s to begin with for the Mississippi Valley and for the northwest side of Florida. So it won't be quite as significantly cooler with this front. So just understand that if you go just to the north of here. But at least it'll be a little bit of a taste of fall-like type weather, you can call it, as Friday gets going. And then by Friday afternoon, it looks like we'll see another better chance for showers and thunderstorms as the chances will start to increase as high as 60%, and that stretches up into the Mississippi Valley region too, as you can tell. And yet for us, we'll keep temperatures still running average in the 80s and low 90s, and there could be some places where temperatures may reach up as high as the mid 90s, like up here towards Jacksonville and Gainesville, as Friday arrives with temperatures, staying a bit cooler in the 70s and 80s with that rain still remaining for the lower half of the valley and for the northwest side of Florida. And then this is Saturday the 27th, and as we kick off the final weekend of the month, it shows the rain chances dropping at around 50%, especially along the east coast of the state of Florida from Jacksonville down south towards the Keys region, with perhaps higher chances still remaining up here for Alabama, and off towards the far east coast you go towards South Carolina. We'll see as high as 60, if not to a 70% coverage. But yet, we'll keep temperatures still running average in the 80s and into the lower 90s, so no changes there heading into your final Saturday of the month, with highs a little cooler in the mid to upper 80s for the Mississippi Valley. But if you go towards the Atlanta area and off towards the east near South Carolina, looks like temperatures will be a little bit more cooler than it is for the rest of the region, where you have some 70s and low 80s, so not bad there if you're looking for some refreshing conditions, you can say. I'm just looking at the low temperatures here for Saturday morning, and it shows starting off in the mid to upper 60s for the valley, but for us, not much, as temperatures will begin yet, as usual, in the middle to upper 70s with lower 80s down south between Jupiter into the Miami and the Keys areas. Moving ahead to Sunday, September 28th, and it shows yet another band of showers and thunderstorms, but yet not quite as widespread, as we'll keep the rain coverage here, this time at about 40%, with a little bit of a good chance up in East Georgia and for the southwestern part of South Carolina. And it looks like some of that dry air will start to move in from the west to east into what we'll say as far as western Georgia and for the panhandle side of Florida, if that's right. And yet, looking at high temperatures on the final Sunday of the month shows, running a little above average in the low to mid 90s across the state, with temperatures running a little cooler, but average in the middle to upper 80s for the Mississippi Valley region. And just looking at the lows for the morning of the 28th, and it shows yet another cool one with low to mid 60s for areas between Jackson off towards the east near Atlanta. But for us, it looks like we'll keep temperatures still running above normal in the low to mid 70s to begin with, and low 80s down south into areas between Jupiter into the Miami areas. All right, now this is on Monday of next week, September 29th, and it shows the rain chances still trying to drop at around 30 to a 40%. And if there's any rain that day, I think the chances for that will be mostly along the east coast from Interstate 95 between Jacksonville down south towards the Keys region, and yet for the western and northwest side of the state up into the lower half of the valley shows yet conditions stay mostly dry. And as we check out the high temperatures, and yet still staying a little bit above average in the low to mid 90s across the state, with perhaps temperatures dropping in the 70s and 80s into, let's say, between Birmingham and off towards the east, you go towards South Carolina, potentially perhaps with another front moving in if that's right. So we'll see. And then this is a week from today, Tuesday, the last day of September, and it shows still another day of some average chances for showers and thunderstorms. Again, with the coverage mostly staying at about 40%, with a little bit of a better chance up north across southern Georgia, and for the southern and western side of South Carolina, we'll say at about 50, perhaps if not to a 60% coverage. That's right about here where my arrow is circling. And yet, temperature still looks to stay the same, as we'll keep yet things running average or a little bit above that. And it shows anywhere from the 80s to the low, if not for some of you, like up in northern Florida, in the mid 90s, with temperatures starting to heat up a little bit for the valley, where it shows anywhere from the 80s to low 90s as well. And you got some cool temperatures in the 70s and lower 80s this time for the Augusta, Georgia area, which is right about here and off towards the east, towards the coastline of South Carolina. Again, probably related to that same front, if this is the case. All right, this is on Wednesday, the first day of October, and it shows the moisture starting to increase again from the Gulf, and that could fire up yet some more high chances for showers and thunderstorms across, not just for here in Florida, but also up into the lower half of Alabama, stretching off towards the east near the coastline of Charleston, South Carolina. And it looks like that should help temperatures drop a little bit. Still mild, but not quite as significantly warm, where it shows anywhere from the 70s and lower 80s across the area. And it shows also some upper 70s and lower 80s for the Mississippi Valley region. So a little bit of a nice trend there, if that's the case. And yeah, just looking at the lows for the morning of the first, and it shows not a front moving in, but it does show some 60s to begin with for the northwest side of the state and the Mississippi Valley region. And yet, the rain continues to fire up across most of the state heading into Thursday, October 2nd, as the moisture again continues to really build up along the Gulf and the Atlantic. And it looks like it wants to show, according to the GFS, a little bit of a tropical mischief near the coastline of Savannah in Charleston. So that's something we could watch heading into the next coming days. But since this is only about a week away, this can well change as we get closer to that time frame. So lots of time to watch that. And checking out the high temperatures, it shows anywhere from the 80s to low 90s across both central and southern Florida, with numbers dropping as cool as the upper 60s, 70s, and low 80s for the northern side of the state, up into Alabama, and points east you go into Charleston. Let me check the wind speed here and show you what it has to say about that potential system off towards the coast of South Carolina and Georgia. See if there's anything interesting to look at. Not really interesting, but it shows yet something to form here as far as the mischief goes around that spot. But nothing. But again, nothing impressive, at least for the time being. But we'll watch that just in case. But that again could easily change as we get closer to late next week. So I'll keep you guys posted. All right, and this is Friday, October 3rd, and it shows yet more rain still happening across central Florida. They will start to drop a little bit, around 50%, if that's right, with the chances dropping as low as 30% or less for the northern side of Florida and the Mississippi Valley as the dry air pattern will start to resume. We'll say from the north to south, if that's right. And check this out. This can also bring a cold front too, and if that's also correct, that could start to drop temperatures in the 70s and lower 80s for Interstate 10 and north. So a little bit of a refreshing fall trend there, if that's right. But for us ahead of that, we'll still keep temperatures running a bit warmer, but average in the 80s and into the lower 90s. And I just want to look at the low temperatures here for the first half of the third, and it shows maybe some 50s and low 60s for the Mississippi Valley region with that front moving in. So we'll see how that could play out. And there could be some 60s for the northern side of Florida, but not so much for central and south Florida, as it shows lows beginning in the 70s and lower 80s, so not much change there. And as we look at the lows for the morning of the 4th, and it shows maybe a slightly cool start with some 60s and low 70s for central Florida, and much cooler temperatures in the 50s and 60s for Interstate 10 and north. So another refreshing start to the day if you're looking for that. But again, this can change by then because we're 2 weeks away to say if that's going to happen. So I'll keep you posted. But yet, we may still see some more rain around the state heading into the 4th. We'll keep the chances for that at around, we'll say, 40%, leaving yet the valley and the northwest side of Florida remaining mostly dry if this is correct. And it seems that temperatures will start to drop in the low to mid 80s, probably related to that same cold front, if that's right. So a little bit of a break from the average hot temperatures, you can say, heading into the 4th itself. And then you also have temperatures up north remaining in the same range as like for here in the 70s, or not 70s, low to mid 80s, excuse me. And this is Sunday, October 5th, and it seems the rain continues to slowly but surely drop a little south, but it's still there, we'll say, at 30 to 40%. And yet, northwest side of the state and the valley tends out to be drying out still as that day approaches. But it looks like temperatures for highs may start to jump back in the upper 80s and low 90s after a brief cool down across, not just for here in Florida, but for the valley, if that's right. So again, a little warm, but not anything muggy. It is what I'm saying here. All right, and this is Monday, October 6th, and it shows yet another mischief trying to form over here towards the we'll say near Havana, Cuba, if that's right, and that could bring some of that tropical moisture and building up those rain chances again for southern Florida. So that's something we may have to watch. But again, this is land of voodoo, and that can always change as we get closer to that time frame. And yet it shows the system becoming a little bit organized, but nothing too impressive to see here. It shows something as far as a tropical depression or a storm formation goes as it moves into southern Florida and then pushing away into the Bahamas region. But again, lots to watch, but that can always change. And if this is also right, that can also dump some pretty good heavy rain totals across the southern part of Florida heading into the 7th. And it shows totals in one day picking up as high as 8 to 10 inches near Jupiter and offshore, with 3 to 4, perhaps if not up to 5 to 6 inches between Port St. Lucie and Miami. Just depends where the track of the system goes. And that could well start dropping temperatures yet in the 70s and lower 80s with that system across both central and south Florida, with temperatures yet a little warmer up north, but not quite as bad. Where you have more in the way of low to mid 80s for Interstate 10 and north towards the Mississippi Valley region, and that could be related to another front moving in if that's correct, because it shows morning low temperatures beginning in the 50s and 60s for Interstate 10 and north by the first half of that same day. And it seems the system will start to push away yet from us heading into Wednesday, October 8th. There might be some leftover showers related to that system. And then up here towards the north yet for the valley and for the panhandle, still the conditions tends to stay very, very quiet. And looking at the highs, and it shows yet temperatures ranging from the low to mid 80s across the region. So looking pretty good as far as the comfy conditions go heading into the early part of next month, if you're looking for that. And then last but not least, this is on Thursday, October 9th, and it shows yet still some leftover coastal showers from that tropical system along the east coast from Jacksonville down south towards the Keys region, we'll say at 40%, leaving yet still nothing much for the valley and for the panhandle side of Florida. And it looks like we'll keep temperatures yet running in the 70s and low to mid 80s around the region. So if you're looking for some fall-like weather, again, just keep those fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll see that coming our way heading into the several first days of the new month of October. But other than that, there you have it. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and sign out of Facebook Live on this Tuesday evening, and I hope to have the next update yet right back here tomorrow night at 8. And as always, I'll continue to post more notes or updates on my social media platforms 24/7. So have a great rest of your evening, and remember to take care of yourselves and each other, and God bless.